attach your yarn to your hook and chain 26. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on until you have 26. Next, instead of working into these front loops, we're actually going to be working into these back loops. So starting from the third back loop from your hook, 1, 2, 3, we're going to do a single crochet. In the next back loop, another single crochet. You're going to single crochet into each remaining back loop. Next, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. So to begin, we're going to put 3 double crochets into this first chain right here. Next, we're going to skip 2 chains and do 3 more double crochets into this next chain space. And we're going to repeat that all the way down. So skip 2, 1, 2, 3 double crochets into this one. So for the very last one, we're actually going to be working into this chain space right here. We're going to crochet, double crochet 3 times into this little chain space. Okay, and then chain 2. This will be our first corner, and in that same space you're going to put 3 more double crochets. One, 2, 3. So So you can see our first corner is done. We want to chain 2 to make our next corner, and in that same chain space, add 3 more double crochets. Just like that. So for the rest of the row, instead of crocheting into these spaces, chain spaces up here, we're actually going to be locating these spaces right here. So if you locate on the bottom row, you see 3 double crochets. So you're going to be adding 3 double crochets into that same space. So without adding any chains, just go straight into a double crochet into that space. And you're going to do that 3 times. Okay. Now our next set of double crochets into that space right there. Three more double crochets. And then locating our next one. And our last one, our last 3 double crochets. Here's that space that we double crocheted them into. We're not quite done yet. So here you can see the corners over here. This side needs to match. So in order to do that, we just chain 2. Okay. And then double crochet 3 times into that same space. Okay, chain 2. Now we need to attach this chain 2 to the top of our first double crochet. So we'll just slip stitch right here, and there we go. Our first round is complete. Now for our next round, what I like to do is chain 1 and then flip our work over like this, so you see the back side of it. So in this first corner space, we're going to double crochet 3 times. Here's 2. Here's 3. want to chain 2. So we're making another corner, and in that same space, double crochet 3 more times. Okay. Now, in this next corner space, we're going to do the same thing. Double crochet 3 times. Chain 2. And then in that same space, double crochet 3 more times. Just like that. So you can see our corner spaces are now complete. So then in each of these spaces, you're going to add 3 double crochets. Alright, so here we've come to our next corner spaces. We're going to do the same thing here that we did down here. So in this first corner space, double crochet 3 times. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Double crochet 3 more times. Okay, and repeat that in this corner, and then continue double crocheting all the way down to the end. Locate that first double crochet of that cluster and just slip stitch. All right, and that completes our second round. I'm gonna do one more round, and it's the same pattern. So I chain 1, flip my work over. Now we're back on the right side, and immediately go in with 3 double crochets into this first space. There we go. Now the pattern's going to stay the same. Double crochet 3 times into each of these spaces, in the corners, double crochet 3 times, chain 2, double crochet 3 more times. So I'm just going to continue all the way around, and I'll see you at the end. so here's the end of our third row. Locate that first double crochet and slip stitch into the top. Okay, chain one, cut your yarn, our rectangle granny square. There we go. All right, so here are the other two colors that I made. So I made 36 total of these. So I made 9 of this dark blue, 9 of this greenish blue, and then 18 of the gray. All right, so here's what I ended up with. I have 4 rows of 9. So that is the pattern I'm going with. So it's kind of a pattern, kind of random. That's what I'm going for, but there are limitless ways that you could configure these granny rectangles. All right, starting off, I'm going to connect all of the short ends together, going up like this. And then once I'm done doing the short ends, we'll rotate the blanket and then crochet them together long ways. All right, so just going to attach my yarn to my hook, and I'm going to lay the yarn going down the center, just like this. All right, I'm going to start, see this chain 2 that we have in the corner? I'm not going to start in this one, I'm going to start in this one, inserting into that second loop. Same thing here. We have our chain 2, 1, 2. So we're not going to start in this one, we're going to start in this one, inserting into just that second loop. Okay, now here's our yarn. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops, yarn over again, and pull through both loops. Moving on to the next one, our yarn is staying kind of down the middle. Insert your hook into this next chain and into the, on the other side, into this chain right here. Here's our yarn, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the other 2 loops. Now there's our second connection. We're going to continue this, inserting your hook, inserting your hook, Here's our yarn, yarning over, pull through 1, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. This is essentially, you're doing a single crochet, but you're inserting your hook into both of the granny rectangles. Almost done here. So here's our chain 2 of this corner. We're going to insert the hook into each side. And there we go. So that way, that other chain of that chain 2, that will be used to connect the granny square going across. Before we move on, you just want to chain 1 because we're adding this row in between each rectangle. Whenever we add more rectangles, you don't want everything to be too tight. Everything needs to stay kind of loose. And it compensates for having a row of connection, I guess. All right, so we'll move on to our next set of granny rectangles. All right, so here's our chain 1, chain 2 of the corner, insert into that second loop. Here's our chain 1, chain 2, enter into the second loop of that chain 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. There we go. And we're just going to continue this. Okay, almost to the end. So we've come back to those 2 chains in the corner. There's 1 on each side. And then before we move on, we need to chain 1. Now that I've connected all of my granny rectangles along the short side, we're going to work on connecting them long ways now. And it's the same exact process. And not going into the first one, but into the second one. Making sure our yarn stays down the center. Locate the chain 2 on this side. 1, 2, going into the second one. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's it. So right here is going to be that other chain that corner chain of that chain 2. And then here's the other side. Now we need to chain 1 over this connected chain, and then we can start our next set of rectangles. So then we're going to insert our hook into this chain of the corner, and then on this side right here. Just like that.